As Ugo helped her mother in their sitting room, the silence became too loud. "Mama," Ugo finally choked out, her voice thick with unshed tears. "Why hasn't anyone asked me to marry them?" Her mother, Clara, paused, her hand hovering over the basket she was holding. A shade of emotion shivered across her face, regret, sorrow, and a truth she'd tried to bury. Clara, known for her sharp tongue, strutted through the village market. Her eyes, usually scanning for gossip material, landed on Martha, a kind woman struggling to keep up with her energetic daughter, Amaka. Amaka, a sweet child, was bigger than all her age mates. Clara sniffed, a smirk twisting her lips. "Martha, dear," Clara said slowly, her voice dripping with fake sympathy. "Looks like your little one ate one too many food again. Maybe a brisk walk wouldn't hurt, eh?" The crowd tittered, their amusement fueled by Clara's cruelty. Martha's cheeks flushed, but she simply offered a strained smile, tightening her grip on Amaka's hand. Amaka, sensing the tension, looked down at her chubby legs, a frown replacing her usual sunny smile. Years rolled by, and karma, as it often does, had a surprise waiting for Clara. One faithful morning, the village awoke to excited shouts. Clara was having a baby. "It's a girl," the midwife announced, her voice unusually strained. Clara beamed, unaware of the midwife's discomfort. But when the baby was brought out, gasps filled the air. The little girl, Ugo, was enormous. Her cheeks bulged like overfilled balloons, and her tiny fists resembled ham hocks. Clara, used to compliments on her own petite figure, stared at her daughter in disbelief. As Ugo grew, so did her size. Playgrounds became impossible, clothes shopping a nightmare. Clara, who once mocked others, became the target of whispers and pitying glances. The villagers, though initially gleeful at Clara's misfortune, felt a pang of sympathy for the child. Clara's back ached, a constant dull throb from years of carrying more than just a child. Ugo, her daughter, wasn't overweight, she was immense, a vibrant, kind soul trapped in a body that betrayed her. Clara was obsessed with appearances, her life a relentless pursuit of thinness. Food was the enemy, a battleground where denial reigned. When Ugo arrived, a surprise after years of preventative measures, Clara saw a chance to finally achieve her impossible standard. She'd control Ugo's food, ensuring her daughter wouldn't fall prey to the demons. But Ugo wasn't Clara. Food for her wasn't the enemy. It was a source of comfort, a shield against the world's harshness. Clara's restrictions backfired spectacularly. The more forbidden it became, the more Ugo craved it. By the time Ugo was a teenager, the damage was done. Clara, once flitting form, bowed under the weight of Ugo's growing body. Simple tasks became Herculean feats. Bath time involved a reinforced chair threatening to collapse, bathing towels, and Ugo's outfits were custom-made. Excursions were an exercise, a wide enough seat enduring the pitying stares. The hardest part wasn't the physical strain, it was the emotional toll. Ugo, trapped in a body that wouldn't cooperate, grew reclusive. Clara, consumed by guilt and regret, couldn't see past her own pain. One day, Ugo, breathless after a 5 minutes walk, confessed, "I just want to be like you, Mom." Clara's heart shattered. The irony wasn't lost on her. The very thing she'd strived for all those years was now a prison for her daughter. Ugo towered over everyone in the village. Her heart was as big as her frame. But lately, a shadow had fallen over it. One by one, her friends, all once her playmates, were getting married. Their joy was infectious, yet a pain of loneliness rang within Ugo. One evening, as Ugo helped her mother in their sitting room, the silence became too loud. "Mama," Ugo finally choked out, her voice thick with unshed tears. "Why hasn't anyone asked me to marry them?" Her mother, Clara, paused, her hand hovering over the basket she was holding. A shade of emotion shivered across her face, regret, sorrow, and a truth she'd tried to bury. "Oh, Ugo," she sighed, "it's not because you're not wonderful. You have a heart of gold and a laugh that chases away the clouds." Clara hesitated, then continued, a tremor in her voice. "There was another girl here years ago, much like you. Her name was Amaka, and..." Shame laced her words. I used to call her names. I teased her for her size, for not fitting the mold. Ugo's brow furrowed. But Mama, why? Clara's shoulders slumped. Ignorance, child. I was young, cruel. Then Amaka left the village. I always thought it was for a better life, but now... Tears welled in her eyes. Understanding dawned on Ugo. Amaka, the oversized girl her mother mocked, must have found someone who saw beyond her size, someone who loved her. A sob escaped Ugo's lips. Was her fate sealed because of her mother's past? Clara reached out, her touch warm and comforting. No, Ugo, you are strong, kind, and beautiful in your own way. Don't let anyone, not even me from the past, define you. That night, a seed of hope bloomed in Ugo's heart. Maybe marriage wasn't the only measure of happiness. Maybe her kindness and strength would attract someone who saw her true worth. Maybe love, like the wildflowers she loved, would bloom in its own time. For years, whispers followed Ugo like a stray cat. Too large, they'd mutter, unbecoming of a maiden. Ugo felt a prickle of shame every time. One sunny afternoon, Ugo sat alone. Tears filled her eyes. Why can't I just be normal? She cried, splashing her reflection with a frustrated hand. Ugo, a voice called, the voice surprisingly gentle. Normal is a bowl of porridge, bland and forgettable. You, my dear, are a pot pie full of flavor, a feast for the eyes and guaranteed to warm the heart. The words sparked something within Ugo. Maybe normal wasn't what mattered. Maybe she could be happy just being Ugo. Clara clutched the worn prayer beads, their smooth surface cool against her trembling fingers. Decades had pain lines onto her once youthful face, each one a silent reminder of a past mistake. Outside, the wind howled like a mournful beast, mirroring the storm raging within her. Years ago, Clara had been a cruel child. Life had dealt her a harsh hand. A death took her husband, leaving her alone to care for their child. Tears welled up in Clara's eyes. Oh God, she whispered, her voice slowly. Forgive me for mocking Amaka. I was young, filled with foolishness, and didn't understand the weight of my words. Each word from Clara was a plea for absolution, a desperate attempt to erase the past. Sleep, when it finally came, brought a vivid dream. Clara stood before a field of sunflowers, their golden faces turned towards the sun. A gentle hand touched her shoulder. Turning, she saw Agatha, the woman she mocked her daughter, her smile as bright as ever. Clara woke with tears staining her cheeks, but this time they were mixed with a flicker of hope. Perhaps forgiveness wasn't about erasing the past, but about learning from it. Ugo wasn't just a big girl, she was a wonder. In the village of Oba, she stood head and shoulders, literally above everyone else. You see, Ugo wasn't just pleasantly plump, she was undeniably, magnificently tall. The men of the village, known for their sturdy frames, looked like children beside her. A strong man, Thomas, a man who could hoist a sack of flour with ease, barely reached Ugo's stomach. Finding clothes long enough was a constant struggle, and doorways seemed designed for hobbits, not giants like her. One day, a man came from the city. He was a movie producer. You're not just big, you're magnificent. We need someone exactly like you, Mr. Udo said. Mr. Udo started featuring Ugo in his movies, which attracted many viewers because of her height and size. Ugo became the star attraction. Ugo surprised everyone with her talent, not as a thin, fine girl, but as the gentle giantess. Ugo found her place, not among the villagers, but alongside the misfits, the dreamers, the giants of heart and body. Back in the village, whispers turned to smiles. They still marveled at Ugo's size, but now with a newfound respect. Ugo wasn't your typical novice. In a world obsessed with slender figures, she possessed a round, jovial figure that jiggled with every step. But beneath the rolls of flesh simmered a fire, a passion for acting that burned brighter than any spotlight. A traveling theater troupe, weary and down on their luck, stumbled upon Ugo's performance. The troupe leader, a woman named Abini, saw something extraordinary in Ugo, a raw, unpolished gem. Abini, unlike the shallow producers in the capital, saw beyond appearances. She recognized the power in Ugo's voice, the twinkle in her eyes, and the sheer joy she brought to activate. Abini took Ugo under her wing. They traveled the countryside performing. Ugo, a sponge for knowledge, soaked up in Abini's wisdom. She learned to control her booming voice, to move with grace despite her size, and to tap into a well of emotions that resonated with every audience. One fateful day, their performance caught the eye of a visiting merchant, a man with connections in the capital city. He was mesmerized by Ugo. Her portrayal of a heartbroken yet resolute queen, defying a tyrannical king, sent shivers down his spine. He saw in her the potential to shake up the stale theater scene in the capital, a scene obsessed with beauty standards. Surprised, the merchant offered to introduce Ugo to the city's producers. Abeni, filled with a motherly pride, knew it was time for Ugo to spread her wings. The capital was a different beast altogether. Too fat, they'd sneer. The audience won't accept her. But Ugo, armed with Abeni's teachings and her own strong belief, refused to be deterred. She auditioned relentlessly, facing rejection with a smile and a self-deprecating joke that often disarmed even the harshest critics. Finally, a chance encounter with a young, progressive director named Kofi changed everything. Kofi saw in Ugo what Abeni and the merchant did, an untapped powerhouse of talent. He cast her in a revolutionary play, a social commentary that challenged traditional beauty ideals. The play became a sensation. Ugo's portrayal of a marginalized woman, ostracized for her weight, resonated with audiences on a deep level. Her comedic timing, her dramatic range, and the sheer joy she brought to the stage were undeniable. Critics raved, audiences cheered, and producers scrambled to get her in their productions. Ugo became a symbol of body positivity. She shattered the glass ceiling, proving that talent came in all shapes and sizes. Her name became synonymous with excellence, a beacon of hope for aspiring actors who didn't fit the mold. Ugo, the once overlooked fat maiden, became the most sought-after actress in the land. Her story wasn't just about overcoming stereotypes. It was a testament to the transformative power of believing in yourself and the magic that unfolds when passion meets opportunity. Clara clutched the worn photograph, tears blurring the image of a new Ugo, gap-toothed and grinning in a hand-me-down graduation gown. Today, Ugo was graduating from the university. A wave of pride so fierce it took her breath away washed over Clara. Her daughter, the one she'd feared would forever bear the weight of her mistakes, was a success, a shining beacon. Years ago, Clara's own choices had cast a long, dark shadow. She'd worried that shadow would forever taint Ugo, that the hardships she'd endured would be passed down. But Ugo, resilient and kind, had blossomed despite the challenges. Sitting in the front row, Clara's hand trembled as Ugo's name was called. As Ugo walked across the stage, a radiant smile illuminating her face, Clara felt a surge of gratitude so profound it brought tears to her eyes. It wasn't just pride in her daughter's accomplishments, but a deep thankfulness for a second chance. She thanked God, the universe, whatever force had watched over them, for not letting her past burden Ugo. Later, at the celebratory dinner, Ugo held Clara's gaze across the crowded room. A silent understanding passed between them. Ugo knew her mother's joy wasn't just for her, but for a path redeemed. In that shared moment, Clara saw not just her successful daughter, but a reflection of her own strength, a testament to the enduring power of love and forgiveness. Ugo, her sunshine, had not only overcome, she had thrived, and Clara's heart, finally free, soared with her. Moral of the story. This story teaches us that mocking people because of their looks is wrong. You never know what someone else is going through, and everyone deserves kindness. We can't control everything in life. The woman who gave birth to a plus-sized child might have had good intentions about her health, but genetics and other factors can influence body size. Kindness is always a good choice. Even if the woman wasn't happy with her own body type, being unkind to someone else wouldn't have helped anything. Let's learn to be kind. The story teaches us that even when people make fun of you because you're different, you can still achieve your dreams. It doesn't matter how you are, as long as you have hope and keep working hard, you can be successful.